I've heard. He's he's got his knee.
I remember they would get on us
6
for
weeks.
taking water bottles home.
Joyner triceps.
So I was like, they're like, yeah, you guys are getting paid. You can get a case of water.
Sherwood's
They was like, hey, we're going to invoice you for the case. Like, what?
Cashman's got a hamstring. He'll be out a couple
$2.99 come off your pay.
Man's got a knee sprain. He's going to be minimum 4 to 6 weeks.
Amazing how some things never change.
He's gone.
So, Robert, with Mackay specifically to start off, how does it impact your offensive line play? And also, he's having the scope, right? Has he had that already, or is that upcoming?
They're evaluating it, getting their second opinions and all that. So that's
man, this is the beginning of
so
Tyler's off day.
Losing a guy like that, how does it impact your line, who obviously, didn't have a great day anyway yesterday?
Yeah, it's a there's a shuffling that has to happen, but with respect to Mackay, he did only practice twice leading up to the game in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and so George will go to left tackle, and Morgan will play right tackle, and they've gotten a lot of reps, and so they'll be able to work.
You mentioned with Mackay that it's 4 to 6 weeks minimum. What goes into that? I mean, is that where it could potentially be longer based on? I mean, what? I mean, what? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Well, he's getting a second opinion. Obviously, if there's the second opinion reveals that there needs to be surgery, then of course, if there's no surgery, then the rehab time and all that stuff. So it's just all, it's just like I said, minimum 4 to 6. After that, that's more a question for the docs.
Can you just confirm that it was a dislocated kneecap?
Yeah, from my understanding, I don't want to get into all the terminology. It's like reading Chinese, but there was a dislocation of the kneecap, but everything else seems to be intact.
And does it? I mean, obviously, you've got a couple of veteran tackles there. I mean, does that make it this a little easier for you to should it make it easier for you to adjust because these guys have been around and know what they're doing?
No, it's like I said the other day. I feel very fortunate. We've got 3 legitimate starting tackles. So getting George over there on the left and Morgan over there on the right. Obviously Mackay is a heck of a player and a heck of a talent, but to have 2 veterans who know how to play this game, getting them in there so they can get into a groove is beneficial.
Robert, you need to add anyone after these injuries, Robert? Like, do you guys have to look into signing some people?
For sure, there's going to be talks. Obviously, Joe and his staff getting together and gathering names, and but there are going to have to be some additions.
Robert, you've spoken to us this summer about just kind of tempering the expectations for the young team that you have around you. Is what you saw yesterday a little bit what you expected? Obviously, if you're hoping to win, you're planning on winning, but what did you see yesterday versus what you kind of thought you might see?
There was I thought overall in the first half, what you just saw was a young team trying to find its footing. There's so many small little errors that were made throughout offense, defense, and special teams, even from coaching decisions and all that stuff. So just little things here and there that all the way across the board. And but got into the locker room, talked through it all, made the adjustments that needed to be made, both from player, coach, all of it. And you just saw a better second half. Offensively, moved the ball a lot better. Defensively, we're able to get more 3 and outs and create a little pressure on Sam. And but overall, I just the first game jitters and all that stuff. I don't want to say we expected it, but I'm not surprised.
Robert, what did you think of Zach's toughness yesterday, and did it surprise you in any way?
No, he is a tough kid. Obviously, I don't like judging his toughness. Hope ideally he's not, his toughness is never judged. But he's an off-schedule quarterback. What was good to see, if you're going to take the silver lining out of all of it, is that in camp he was straining to stay in the pocket and go through, and I was like, man, what's it going to look like when he gets his first hit? Is he going to have a feel for the pocket? Is he going to be able to slide and move with the pocket and do things that he needs to do to avoid hits and buy time and gain the extra hitch and all that stuff? And And what was encouraging was, I mean, he had free runners, he made missed, he showed elusiveness, and now it's just a matter of knowing exactly where he needs to go with the ball. Once he's made that first guy miss, you're probably not going to make the second guy miss. But thought he was really good in the pocket. He stood in there strong. He did take his lumps. He can learn from it, and learning how to do the right things to avoid hits himself. But overall, I thought it was promising for him, just his pocket presence and his elusiveness.
Robert, Sunday will be your first go around in the Jet Patriot thing. Obviously the rivalry here and whatnot. I'm curious, obviously it's a home opener. You're coming off a loss. There's a lot of things going on here, but what is your impression of Belichick and just kind of your anticipation for this coming game on Sunday? And do you know Belichick well over from circles pretty well?
No, I don't know him. I know of him, obviously. I think the whole world does, but he's one of the greatest of all time. His schemes, his personnel decisions, all of it has withstood the test of time. He wins he's won many different ways. He's won without a quarterback. He's won with quarterbacks. He does it all. And so it's always a tremendous challenge to go against him and their schemes, both offensively, defensively, and special teams for that matter. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge. And just obviously whenever, God, he's been coaching the Patriots since I started coaching. So just to watch his legacy grow and the coach that he is, it's an honor to share the same field as he does, as him.
Sorry, just as a quick follow on that. I mean, you came here as a defensive, you're a defensive coordinator by trade. Your last job. What's your respect level for him for the things the defensive mind he is, and how difficult is that and the things he does for a rookie quarterback, for example?
He's just through his knowledge, like he's to take a piece from him, his understanding of offensive protection systems and all that stuff is just he understands it like an offensive coordinator would. So because his understanding of protections, he's able to attack protections better than all defensive coordinators for that matter. But and it's something that he is always doing schematically. He is always attacking protections. He's always putting you in disadvantage at a disadvantage with regards to your whole protection system, and the looks behind it, because of the way he's manipulating protections, is very hard for the quarterback. So there's a lot of film study. There's a lot of trust that has to happen. There's a lot of communication that needs to happen. And but understand that every single down, first, second, third down, doesn't matter. He is finding ways to manipulate your protection to get you in a position where the quarterback's at a disadvantage. So respect the heck out of it. It's hard to go against, and it's going to be a great challenge this week to prepare against it.
Thank you,
Robert. We talked a lot throughout training camp, obviously, about the struggles in pass protection, but the one thing that you guys were able to do throughout the summer was run block. Was it alarming that the run game was never able to get going? I think you guys averaged like 2.6 yards a carry, and a couple of those, those numbers were even embellished some by a chunk play there by Ty.
I'm not going to say alarming. It's disappointing because we expect to come out and run the ball, but again, collective effort. There was things that we hadn't done that showed up in the game that are easily fixed, from the back's track on an outside zone scheme to the double team reach blocks, the cutoff blocks, all the different things that we've been really good at this whole entire training camp and preseason in games just showed up. And it's not something that we're going to hit the panic button on, but it's something that we're going to go to the tape on, learn from it, trust what we've done. I thought the backs had a great week of running the football in practice, and it just didn't quite show up the way we wanted to. Same thing with the offensive line. I thought they were doing a great job with their technique and execution throughout practice, and it didn't show up. But I don't think it's indicative of what this group is capable of. It's just something that we've got to learn off of.
With some of the pass protection issues, how much is it having a rookie quarterback who's in his first game and is maybe seeing some fronts that he's never seen before, or maybe making a wrong read, or not diagnosing things quickly enough? How much of it could be just to inexperience?
I'll flat out say, like, I'm standing by it, especially after watching the tape, and I get grades get floated around and all that from people who aren't in the scheme game planning sessions, but it's a collective. Protecting the quarterback is a collective thing. It is not one position group's job to protect the quarterback. The coordinator's got to protect the quarterback. The O-line's got to protect the quarterback. The receiver's got to protect the quarterback, and the quarterback needs to protect the quarterback. And so if you took, I don't know, 20 some odd pressures that we had on the quarterback, I promise you, if you divvied that up on who was responsible, you guys would see a clean divide amongst all the different position groups and even coaches. And so we've got to do a better job with the way we, one, plan, two, communicate, three, execute our technique, but four, trust. Quarterback has to be able to trust what he sees. Quarterback has to be able to make the right reads. Quarterback has to have a consistent set in his drop. O-line has to be able to communicate, execute their technique, trust one another. The backs have to execute. The receivers have to execute. All of them. They all took turns on each of those pressures. Everyone took turns on those pressures, and coaches not excluded to this. And it's just something that we all got to do. Obviously, get better at.
Robert, what did the fight you showed in the second half and the improved performance tell you about your ball club?
Same thing I said yesterday. This is a group that, we're going to be in a ton of one-score games in the fourth quarter. That's just the NFL, right? I mean, most games are decided in the fourth quarter. It's the way I've always explained games is the first quarter is about the game plan. The second quarter is some minor change-ups. The third quarter is what you've changed at halftime. And then the fourth quarter, all the chips are on the table. Everybody knows what everyone's doing. Everyone knows what everyone's checks are. They know the communication that's being made. So now it comes down to precision, detail, technique, and execution at the highest level. And that's what fourth quarters are about. There's no magic elixir. There's no magic play. It's about execution, because like I said, by then all the calls are on the table. Defensively, your scheme has been exposed. Offensively, you've shown your hand, and it comes down to execution. And so we're going to get these opportunities again. We're in the fourth quarter. We're in a one-score game. Offense scored. Defense has got to get off the field. We had a 4th and 1 opt to get off. Missed it on the jet sweep. They end up going to score 3 points. Offense goes down, scores again. We need to get off the field on a 4-minute situation. Carolina captures the edge and gets first down. But throughout that fourth quarter, execution has to be at its highest level, and we've got to make plays to close the door. And we had our opportunities, didn't quite get it done, but we're going to see those opportunities again. And these are professional football players. They're not going to quit. I've yet to be on a team that's ever quit. I don't think I've ever seen it. Do things get away from people sometimes? Yeah. And, the narrative wants to get pitched that a player quit. I don't think I've ever seen a player quit, regardless of the score. But what I will tell you is that we're going to have these opportunities again and often, and how we execute is going to be the difference between winning and losing.
Is it worse when you have
a couple more questions for Coach? A couple more questions for Coach.
Is it worse when you have, like you kind of mentioned, like it's not just the offensive line, right? You said it's some of the running backs, it's some of the reads, it's the protection, it's coaching. Is it better when you can say like, okay, it's just one thing and you can fix that one thing, but saying that it kind of seems like everyone's failing to pass protect? Like, is that worse?
It's a good question, Connor. I don't know if it's worse, because it's always one, right? It happens in all three phases. It's one mess up here. It's like collectively, but the teams that operate at the highest level are just boom, boom, boom. You're operating at that level. But yeah, you could always say it'd be great to say, well, clearly it's just one person. Let's fix it. And but when you have so much youth, like this is why I've talked to you guys about it before. Youth makes mistakes. But they're fast as heck. Veterans don't make many mistakes, but they don't have that youthful juice that they had when they're 29, 30 years old. But at the same time, these young kids were put in a lot of different situations yesterday, and they're only going to get better. They saw a lot of stuff yesterday that we're hoping they can make that jump to this second game.
With
Robert, you guys
with
obviously
Braden Mann, you said 4 to 6 on Mann. A, is that a surgical situation? And B, are you just going to roll with Amendola since he's hot now?
Right. Amendola. I thought Amendola did a great job, but no, we're going to work out some guys, but I don't think Braden's got a surgery situation going.
Robert, you guys obviously had some depth issues yesterday at wide receiver with Cole and Crowder out. From the outside, it seemed like a good opportunity for Denzel Mims to get some run, but he only got 3 snaps. So what was the reason behind that? And what do you see as his role going forward?
So a majority of the reps went to Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Barrios. I think they dominated the reps, but part of that is the kind of the sequence of the game in that first half. There a lot of 3 and outs, a lot of short drives, and because of it, those receivers were able to play. You know, like you roll with your top 3 guys, and if they need a break, that's where the other guys step in. But Mims, you know, he's been doing a good job getting himself a little bit better every day, but he's got to know when you're not one of the main 3, you've got to know all 3 spots, and you've got to know it at a high level so you can step in and take advantage of all those opportunities. So if the Z, the F, or the X needs a break, you're the first one that goes in because you know all 3 spots, you can execute at a high level, and you can roll. But yesterday was more of a timing thing where offense really didn't get rolling into that fourth quarter, which is where his, you know, you started seeing him show up on the football field. Is, you know, we had those extended drives. I think we had a 10-play, 93-yard drive where the receivers needed a break, and it gave them that opportunity to step in and get action.
Robert, and Andy mentioned Crowder and Cole. Is Crowder still on the COVID list? And is Cole, does he have a shot to coming back this week?
Both have a shot to come back this week. Crowder, I believe he should be testing out today, hopefully. But Cole is going to be more day to day. Awesome.
Everybody good? Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.